Hi, and welcome to tonight's Action Coaching Club live coaching call. It's Lou Dallo. Nice to be with you tonight for some strategic coaching, and some round robin coaching. So today we're going to start with a couple of hot seats, strategy coaching calls, where I'll spend 15, 20 minutes with one or two people. Since we have a few of these outstanding in the email, a couple of requests, and I thought I'd catch up a little bit, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. And then on Thursday we will do one or two more hot seats if we need to, and then I'm going to do a little training on how to do video analytics, so that you know who's watching your video, how far in they're watching, and where they're watching from. All good stuff if you want to know which topics are of most interest to your audience. So come on back and have a look on Thursday at that training. So tonight we'll start with we'll start with strategy coaching. And if you haven't been on the call before, strategy coaching is a little bit different than round robin Q&A in the sense that we're going to focus our conversation on reviewing some key element of one of the key success factors or key success areas that we talk about on the checklist. And that's namely generating traffic, capturing leads and list building, creating products, generating sales, working with partners, managing your business, or anything to do with you, mindset, motivation, productivity, and so on. And the difference is between the Q&A and this call is that we're going to focus, for a good 15, 20 minutes. So we'll only be able to do, one, two, or three of these every time we do them. But I find that it's a great opportunity to dig a little deeper into your business and to give you some, valuable feedback. Something that's relevant to you and that you're working on actively, and sometimes it's also good if we get a chance to sort of take a step back and say, okay, well, why am I involved in all this activity, and which of this activity is most important? So you're welcome to talk about any one of these areas in particular, or you can say, hey, let me kind of show you my flow and show you where people come into my funnel and how I lead them through it, and are there areas that we can optimize through the entire process. Okay, so important thing here that I want to ask you is that if you're going to be one of the folks that does get the strategy call, really be clear about the most important thing for you to come away with from this call, because obviously 15-20 minutes is it's better than a few minutes, but it's not really enough to dig into every element of what's going on. So I want you to really be prepared with being able to give me a quick overview of the issue, and then tell me, what's the biggest, most important thing that you need to take away right now. And sometimes if you don't know that, then the question might be, what's the most important thing for me to do now, right? So that's okay too, but let's try to really tackle one thing at a time. Don't worry about getting 10 questions in 10 minutes, right? It's not a race here. It's about getting real clarity on something that's important, that's a high leverage to moving you forward. It's not about asking as many questions as you can. I think you'll do better. Well, if you have a lot of small questions, that's okay too. But I think you'll do better if you identify the big challenge or the big opportunity that's going on for you right now, that if you could solve it or if you could manifest it, would give you the greatest leverage in your business. Okay, so I didn't get replies from some of the folks that were scheduled to come on tonight, so I'm not sure that we're going to have everybody here, but I know that Jeffrey's here. And Jeffrey, I'm going to just pull up your actually, if you could raise your hand, Jeffrey, by pressing *2 on your telephone keypad, I'll open your line and we can, there you are, we can talk a little bit. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome to the call.
Hey, all right, thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Hey, by the way, we had a very short time a little bit ago, and I did get to implement some of those changes on some of the landing pages that we discussed, but today I'd love to dig a lot deeper into our whole lead generation and conversion strategy to see if we can get better results.
Okay.
Our big thing is getting greater results and to a great degree, a shrinking market, and really getting deeper penetration. And so what I really want to do is increase my sales. I can tell you a little bit about the whole process, and maybe you could give us or give me specifically some guidelines. What do you see that be just obvious to you that wasn't obvious to me? I mean, last time we talked about on the top of the page and how the we had our logo up there, and I got rid of all our landing pages, our logo on the top, and I think it does look a little bit better. We're getting a little bit better conversion, but we still have a long way to go. So I think what Windobook does is we help hundreds of businesses produce billions of dollars worth of postage statements. So the really big mailers, guys that are doing at least 2 million pieces of mail a year, we help them be more profitable by mailing and shipping more intelligently. So we also have a shipping component. When I say mail, that means letters, flats, cards. And when I say shipping, that means things like parcels, packages. So what we do is we have a series of inputs in the system. One of the things we do now is we have every week we have at least 2 webinars, and on the right you can see our sign up for a webinar. Do you see that on the right? Free education webinar.
Yep.
And this is the other one. We changed this around a little bit. You complained about our comment, and we wanted to make this a little bit simpler. So get your free custom presentation here, and that goes into a series. This is another series, and this is a different series. This brings you over to a white paper on Intelligent Mail Full Service. To get the best discounts for your mailing, you need to use this thing called Intelligent Mail Full Service. It's a whole series of steps that you need to do, and we are the leading experts in what's called e-documentation, so you don't print out paper postage statements anymore. Mm-hmm. So we write white papers on that. We have webinars on it, and we will give free custom presentations for people that want to learn how that would apply in their business. Our whole goal is to get people into a free custom presentation over here on the right. We have lots of entryways, but this is the small one on the website. If you go into one of these free educational webinars, which you can click on any of these things and you can see where it all goes to, like for instance, tomorrow, QR barcodes, that's a hot topic. You can go and sign up for one of our webinars, or you can go down and the next one is on the 9th, and you'll see there are about 2 every week. And we get about 125, 130 people are signed up for the one tomorrow. About 50%, maybe a little bit more, will actually show up. One of the things that we did do that increased the number of people that actually sign up is we made it a very quick. We send out the email. It's a one-click registration as opposed to going through the whole registration system with GoToWebinar, which we find increases the number of people that actually sign up, and it increases a little bit the number of people that show up. But you do have a few more people that it's so easy to sign up that they don't. There's a few people that just don't show up. So we're about 50% of the people, 52 or something like that percentage of the people that will actually show up to the webinar that sign up. And what we're really looking to do is optimize the system so that we get people from the webinar or the white paper into a custom presentation, and from the custom presentation, we got to get them into a sale.
Is the custom presentation live with one of your people?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Now, the custom presentation is still with a technical person, and it's from that the salespeople take it on. The custom presentation invitation goes out to the person. The salesperson will arrange it, but it's actually the presentation is done by a technical person. Our salespeople aren't technically capable enough to show the software and the system and ask the technical questions, answer the technical questions.
Okay.
So it's marketing and technical people until they get into a custom presentation, and then salespeople take it to follow up and close.
And who does the initial webinar, the non-custom presentation?
I might do some of them. We'll have postal industry specialists do them. We'll have people that have been in the industry for a long time, postal affairs managers, people that really know their stuff about the postal industry, do those presentations. Yes.
Okay.
We don't have any salespeople. Or what we'll do is we'll get guest speakers. We'll get somebody from the Postal Service. We'll get somebody from a a partnering company to come on, and actually more and more are people in the industry are saying, geez, WindowBook's got all these webinars, I'd like to be on it. So we're getting more and more where other people want to be in, and they'll produce some complementary content or symbiotic content.
Okay, and the webinar registration it happens from your home page, right? Whoops, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, you can it's not from the home page, but it's from you go to windowbook.com and you click on that ad. Most of our ads, like if you were to, by the way, there's a great thing on the Facebook ads and the ads the other night. So I put up a Facebook ad, and that goes to the landing page, or it goes to some of the ads are very specific for a very short period of time, and then it would go right down. You see where it says free educational webinars? Click on that.
Yeah, I
did. So we have some of our ads that will go right to that. Once you clicked on it, it will go to that page.
Right. Are you driving any traffic directly to this page?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
That's generic. And then if you click on the benefits QR, click on that one, register where it says benefits of that one. Now, we drive some traffic right down to this page itself. Now, maybe we should do, I don't know, I'm thinking this isn't maybe the best page, but that is where we drive some traffic from a LinkedIn ad or a Facebook ad.
And there's one of these pages for every webinar, right?
Yes.
So would it be possible to take this registration page, and instead of clicking register now, could you put the registration box right here?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because if you're driving, because then
yeah.
you could drive people straight to this page. Like, right now, I mean, what's the extra click for? It doesn't really do anything, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're driving people directly to the page, then at least they'll know what it is that they're signing up for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I can make that change tomorrow. That's super. So just put, and that actually makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to make those little individual pages. I would just put it right there, and I would put that, put email right above where it says register now. I'd put the email in there, and then as soon as they put their email in there, and click to register now, that's all they need.
Yeah, yeah, it would, and I would like you to think about. I mean, whether you put these on separate pages or whether you just modify this page, like the effort to create the content is about the same. And I would say, if you're driving traffic. When you're advertising, you would be better. Like, what are you advertising? Are you advertising the webinar series, or are you advertising each individual webinar?
Well, in general, I do both. When I'm buying a specific hot ad, like something like QR barcodes,
Mm-hmm.
I will advertise the specific one. So I would just make it go down to that one. I think there's a way of making it go down to that. Now, we use this thing called .NET Nuke, so it's not a regular HTML page, which apparently is a little bit more difficult to deal with. But I could make a bookmark down here and have the link go right down to that bookmark. I believe that would work.
Sure, that'll work.
So
but here's what I'm going to recommend to you, because even if you do, even if you were to take them straight, what did I just do here? Oh, that's interesting. Even if you were to take them straight to the webinar in question, what we don't want to do is have them flip around necessarily. And because what we're ideally doing is we're targeting people who are interested in this. So here's what I'd like to recommend you think about doing. Let me just see if I can figure out how to erase this. Clear all. So you remember, did you happen to catch the WebWagon presentation that I had on there? I don't know if you caught that.
I don't know if I did.
Okay.
WebWagon.
No worries. You can look it up. I mean, essentially what I'm saying is, you're going to have hubs coming off from the center, your central site, and each one of these hubs is going to be very specifically designed to capture a particular audience or target or an ad source or something. So I think you would be well off to if on your main site you had a list of all of the different webinars, right? Just a line and a quick description, and then when they click over, they come to, basically you should have a little registration mini site for every event. where you have the headline, maybe a couple of bullets, and then you go, and then you have the opt-in right here, right? So you're doing basically what you're doing here, right? Same thing as you're doing, except you're going to have it on its own registration page. And the reason for that, and then you could even put under here, sign up for this and you'll have instant access to all our previous recordings or our upcoming recordings if you want. And you can make let them know what else they're getting. But this is optional, and I would test that. But the key thing here is that if you're driving Facebook ads, for example, for your QR code webinar, you would want it to come straight to this QR code webinar. And this registration does nothing but pay off what the ad is advertising, which is come and learn about QR codes. And then if you have, for example, another webinar, let's what else have you got here? Priority mail, open and distribute, right? So you have another page, priority mail, open and distribute, and same thing here. Talk about what they're getting, give them the registration page, and then drive Facebook ads, or PPC, or articles, or whatever you do, straight to the webinar, because your message is going to be a lot more highly targeted. And then when they land on this page, they're going to be faced with the option of, do I want to sign up for this or not, and not which one of these do I want to sign up for, because they may want one of these other things, but if you're advertising for that topic, and they click through the ad because they're interested in that topic, that's a pretty qualified attendee for that webinar. And so I would actually, create this wagon wheel and have a different opt-in page for each. Now you still can have the central page that kind of summarizes them all. I don't know why this is happening. Hold on. I seem to be, yeah. So you can still have that central page where it kind of has a listing, but you don't have to go into...
Which is right now, this is my central page right now. Is that what you're talking
about?
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
So and keep that page, but have it linked to another page where, like, register now. Okay.
Yeah, and instead of like the full thing here with the date and who's on it and all the rest of it, just 2 or 3 lines of the big benefits that they're getting, and then you could have the register now button on the other page. But then that other page is where you're going to drive most of the traffic to. So you're going to advertise the event, not the series. And then of course, when you do want to run a promotion to this page, you can do that too. You can say, smart postal solution webinars. Save. Save 30% on your mailing costs, learn how. And then they could come here and you could give them a list of all the webinars if you want, but generally speaking, I wouldn't promote the whole thing. I would actually promote one webinar at a time. And then maybe underneath you could have it set up so that they could see, I don't know why this keeps happening. You could have it set up so that they could see what other webinars are in the archives or are coming down the road that they can sign up for. Just as an incentive to sign up, right? But here, this is probably, this is a good thing to scan. And for sure on this page, I would either do one of 2 things. So if you're going to drive traffic here, I would put the registration button right here. If you're going to leave all of this description in here and all of this in here, then just go ahead and register them here. But my preference would be to have a list of all the webinars, a 1 or 2 quick line description of it, and then to click over to a standalone page maybe it doesn't even have all of these navigation bars. It just basically tells them this webinar is happening, here's when it's happening, register now, and get access to the replay plus all our archive of all the other webinars. And then you could...
So it is literally its own squeeze page.
Yep.
Just so I have a referential thing, let's just pop to one of my squeeze pages, which is like the white paper one. If you go to the home page, and then free white paper. That's our squeeze page. That's what we worked on last time, and I took the logo off the top there, so that you could get a little bit more.
Yeah, see how nicely it fits above the fold now?
Is that the look that you're talking about?
Yeah, you could definitely, this is the way I would do it, absolutely. I would take everything out, I'd make it just a regular squeeze page, except of course it's not really it's a registration for an event. It's a registration for a webinar. And this would probably be just as effective signing up people up for webinars as it is getting the opt-in for the free report. So so I would probably give that a go. So the short-term fix would be to, instead of 2-stepping them through the process, if you want to continue to have a page where all of them are listed, but then there comes a question, if you want to register for more than one, you might want to say in here, register now and have instant access or notification of all the rest, so they don't feel like they have to register for each one individually. right? Because if somebody wants to
Okay.
go to 3 or 4 of these, you don't want to have them sign up for each of them, right? Because there's a lot of good
Yeah.
stuff
Well,
here.
yeah. Well, we find that, we started off with one a quarter, then we did one a month, and then
Hmm.
we started doing one a week, and then we started doing 2 a week, and we found that the more we did them, the more attendance we got, and
Yeah,
the better we
beautiful.
got known, and so we just kept adding them. Now, one of the things you put on, we love article marketing. We've written lots of articles and e-zine and whatnot, but I don't understand how I can see these things have got such a time sensitivity. I turn off that Facebook ad or the LinkedIn ad or whatnot. I just say the day that that thing is over, even if I can, I do it at the time the thing is over. I don't let people. I don't want to keep advertising it.
Okay, well, which is going to be the next
So
thing I was
on the
going to ask you,
article
actually.
marketing thing, how am I going to? The only thing I could do is to advertise that page where I put them all on,
Well, now,
because the article's
why
out
don't
there
you
for a
want
long time.
why don't you want to give them access to the webinar other than the time that it's happening? Why would you want to restrict that?
Because the webinar will be over.
So, I mean,
So, well, the
if they were
page.
interested in
You mean
QR
turn the?
codes, if somebody was interested in QR codes next week and the webinar was last week, but the webinar encouraged that person who was interested in QR codes to call and get a custom presentation with one of your tech folks, that would be something you would want, right?
Okay, so what you're saying is when the day that that thing is over, automatically change it to something else, which is call us up kind of thing.
Well, I would recommend
Is
actually
that what you're referring to?
I'm actually thinking of a couple of different ideas, which is so let's say your article says, hey, there's this webinar on QR codes, right? And
Yep.
before the event takes place, this is a registration for a live event. Once you're done the event, it'll be a registration for the replay,
Okay.
right? And
So
so,
on the day of the event, you change that page. You leave the URL the same, but you
mhm.
change the content.
Right, and you just say, the event is over, but you can listen to the replay. You can get a live replay by registering. Or you don't even have to tell them really. You just remove the date, and then when they sign up, you send them an autoresponder that says, hey, the live event is over, but we're making the replay available for you. Go ahead and watch that now. And then they still opted in. They still registered for the event. They're going to get the replay of the event, so they can attend it. And you can get a lot more mileage out of it because your articles now are going to be doing. I mean, once you've got them in there, they're going to be pointing to the registration page. You may as well give them a reason to opt in. And if the article is specific about QR codes, which I recommend that you do make it specific, and the the call to action is go watch this webinar about how we can use QR codes to increase efficiency or increase profits or something, and you've got a great webinar recorded. Well, why not make it work for you?
Okay. Yeah, I could do that. I'll show you. We do it right now. What we do, and maybe it's not the best, but we create a new page because there's a time period. It takes us a couple of days actually by the time we turn the recording into a web page. We build the web page and all the rest. Then we create the recorded page at a different URL. What you're saying is keep the same URL and then just change the content to the recorded sign up.
Yep, it'll still be a promotion for the event, except the event will be delivered as a replay, not as a live call. Now, if you want to give the impression that it's live, then you can subscribe to one of those automated webinar things that give people the chance to sign up for the next upcoming webinar, on Wednesdays and Fridays at 2 and 4 p.m., for example. And then they register for it just as though it was a live event. They watch it just as though it was a live event, but it's actually just being replayed to them.
Now, did you go over that? I missed that call. How do I sign up for one of those? It sounds brilliant. I've seen other people do it.
Yeah.
Because I actually wanted to use that kind of technology for figuring out what is the best time of day and what days are the best. I wanted to give them an option. Would you like to sign up at 3 and 5 or on the 12th, or on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep. So I don't remember exactly what call it was in. I think it was one of our coaching sessions a couple of calls ago. But what I did last week was I set up a page for Action Coaching Club, and I use a system that Ryan Lee created. It's called Presentation Domination, and I actually interviewed him during his launch when he was launching the system, and the recording is not available publicly anymore, but I created a link for you guys. If you go to powerupcoaching.com/PRESN, which is an abbreviation of presentation, DOMN, which is an abbreviation of domination, and then ACC for Action Coaching Club. So I set up a backdoor link for you just for Action Coaching Club folks. And if you go here, Lou Aweber at powerupcoaching.com, and you can just sign up for it. What it'll do is it'll take you to the replay of that call. And here's where Ryan describes the system, how it works, why it works. We talk about automating it, the strategy behind it, the process behind it. And then if you want to check out his system, you can there'll be a link to it. It's presentationdomination.com, I think, or if you want, this was a promotional call, I'll tell you in advance. So there's a commercial at the end of it. If you're interested, you can go through my link, which is lourecommends.com/PDS for Presentation Domination System. And if you watch through to the end, you'll hear what bonuses were involved in anything. But it doesn't matter whether you use Ryan's system or another system, because there's lots of them on there. The first 60 minutes is packed with the strategy, why they work, how you want to set them up. So it's a good one for you to watch anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
Okay. And this is exactly.
For us, that'd be very worthwhile.
Yeah, and I'm doing
so many pre-recorded ones.
Absolutely. And the thing about this that's really important and that will work for you as well here is that if it starts to look like a live event, more people are going to actually attend, because the reason these work so well, at least right now, is because if you have a lot of downloads on your desktop, and you have a lot of events that you can go watch, a lot of videos and stuff online, you can watch them anytime there's no urgency. But what you're going to do is you're going to watch the one that's going to be on Wednesday at 1 o'clock, because that's the only time you're going to get a chance to watch it. It's not online on YouTube all the time. And so you'll get more views, and you'll actually have more people watching it. And then what'll happen is every time you do a webinar, you can actually drive traffic to a webinar registration. People will sign up on a particular date and time. They'll attend the call, and they'll book. If the call to action is book a custom presentation, then every webinar that you record will continue to book custom presentations for you long after you've recorded them.
Right. Yeah, that's clearly what I want to do. Is I want to get people to book custom presentations.
Yep.
That's clearly what I want to do.
Right, and the good thing about this is if you write articles to promote the event, well, then your article, the value of the articles is still there, right? Because it's pointing to a page that's still live and where people can still get. I think my mouse is going crazy here. Where people can still get the content, and so you can use lots of articles to promote the event before, during, and after, and you'll still get mileage. It's automated, which means it doesn't take your time or your guests' time, and you'll attract a lot more guests because they know that the thing is going to play for a long time, so it gives them even more exposure than the one-time event. So there's a whole lot of good reasons to keep the replay up and running and drive traffic to it. And then if you find a winner, like let's say the QR code is a massive winner, then you can just multiply all your ads and drive even more traffic to it, and you never have to do it again live if you don't want to. It's just done automatically for you.
Right. Okay, spectacular. And that will does it discuss things about we usually have a 15-minute Q&A, which we find is often very good at the end for finding language, how people talk, what their interests in, and things like that. Does it ever discuss how you do basically a pre-made one with somebody at the end that just hops on for Q&A?
Yeah, well, you could do it that way. You could have somebody hop on. It really kind of depends on how many of these you want to do. I mean, if you've got 14, 15 webinars scheduled a week, it may be impractical to do. When you have a few of them, it's a lot more practical. The other thing that you could do is actually run a live event or have someone come on for the Q&A like once a month, for example. So that you can get the language. The rest of the time, you're just going to replay the Q&A from the original call, And but many of these things will have a Q&A box, so people will be entering questions throughout the call, and you can go back and look those up as a way of sort of getting the
Oh,
language.
right,
Hmm.
right. Okay,
All right.
perfect. Got it.
Good. Excellent.
Now,
All right, we're going to
I don't
have
know if we
to.
have any more time.
No, we're going to have
This
to
is
probably
great
bring this
stuff.
call
So
to a close.
okay.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
no problem. But I would like to know what do you think was your biggest takeaway as far as action? What resonates with you the most, and what do you think is the next step for you based on this?
Oh well, for sure tomorrow I'm going to. Uh, one is I'm going to put just because I can do it immediately. I can put the email registration right on that main landing page. That's something I can do right away.
Good.
The next is, as soon as I can, I'm going to come up with some system for building a squeeze page for each one of these things. So the first thing, just because of I'm looking for practical things I can immediately get some results on. I'm going to put in a registration right under where it says register now. I'll just add your name to it. The next is I'm going to come up with a way, what is a systematic way that we can build those squeeze pages? Because right now the way we're doing it's kind of slow. And so I'm going to come up with a way to build those squeeze pages that look like the other. And then the third thing I'm going to do is I'll find that Ryan Lee presentation. I'll reread this because all I wrote down was Power Up Coaching. I couldn't write down the rest to get where I can get that. And then I will implement the automatic replay because that's very valuable to me.
Okay, perfect. Sounds really good. And one thing as you were talking, one thing you might consider when you're thinking about systematic way of doing those pages is you can get something like, excuse me, Optimize Press, and just use the same template over and over again, and all you have to do is add new content, and then you can have a blog, basically an Optimized Press blog, that is nothing but squeeze pages, and drive all your traffic there. And if you put that blog on your main domain,
Press is that's just like a WordPress blog.
it's a theme. Yeah, it's a theme for WordPress, and it helps you to it designs more than squeeze pages. It has like, let me just turn this off here. It has squeeze pages, it has sales letters, it has membership pages, and so on. But the squeeze page, you can like generate these things ad nauseum, and they look good. They're pretty good looking squeeze pages, very close to the one you have. And all you have to basically do is go in and fill out a form inside the WordPress editor, and your squeeze pages will come out, looking beautiful, and they'll come out without any additional HTML. So you could put a WordPress blog on, windowbookwebinars.com, and then then you could have like every squeeze page would be an Optimized Press thing, and the URL would be, squeeze one. The next one would be, let's say QR webinar, right? And so it would all look like it's coming off your domain, but it's just a WordPress blog with a bunch of designed to help you get squeeze pages up real quick.
Spectacular! I love that. I'll check that out because we use WordPress blog right now. Blog.windowbook.com is a WordPress blog, and I'm sure that I can add a few more onto the same hosting service.
Yeah, and what you could do is you could talk to your webmaster and get them to create a template, a template page, which is a registration page, and then all you have to do from there on in is go in and select that template page, fill in the the forms, and you're done.
Okay, so that would be a template, and that would be a template. I'm not sure. Are you talking about on OptimizePress.com? I would.
You could do it. You could do it on OptimizePress.com. Where the templates are already made for you, or if you want to do it on your existing blog, you just get your webmaster. Just design what you want your registration page to look like, and then get your webmaster to change the theme so that there's an additional page on there that always looks like an opt-in page.
Okay. Okay, great.
Alrighty.
I'm clear about that.
Excellent. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jeff. Thank you very much. All right. Good. Great call. And I really like I hope you noticed as Jeff was talking about his next steps. Hope you noticed how he was kind of saying, "This is easy. I'll do that first, then I'll add this, and then I'll add that." It's a great way, incremental changes is a great way to approach things, right? So instead of trying to do it all at once or going straight for the end result, do something, make a quick change, and get it working for you while you're planning the next change. Get that working for you. Incremental, chunking down the actions into manageable, incremental chunks. Steps are a great way to do it. So that's a really really insightful look at the way to take actions from the conversation. I'm a little distracted, as you can hear. I'm talking while I'm looking for who else was asking for a strategy call. And Sebastian, are you online? If you are, I didn't get an answer from you. I think actually we were going to have you come on next week, but the person who was going to do the call is not here. So go ahead and raise your hand, Sebastian. I see you there. *2 so I can open your line. Okay, it's not coming through. So can you type in the area code that you're calling from, Sebastian? I'll see if I can find you that way. Oh, Skype. Okay, let me see. I'll have to try a few different lines. Bear with me, guys, as I work on this. Sebastian, just keep saying your name. I'm going to open up a few lines. Okay, I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you now. All right,
Hi.
I have you. Perfect. Hello, welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I see in your email that your web page is Ideas to Startups.
Yeah, basically, I'm hearing a little bit about. I think I figure a niche domain that is interesting, but it is still very generic and very big, and I'm trying to figure out much more precisely a very specific product or a very specific first step I can. And I'm trying to figure out what resonates with these people. I'm targeting mostly technical people who want to start their. And
okay, Sebastian, is there any way that you can call me on a regular phone, because I'm not hearing you very well?
I'm really sorry about it. I can't do that right now. If it's too much of a problem, we'll have to reschedule.
Okay, let's try as best we can. If you're on a computer, shut down every other application that you're not using, and that'll help a little bit, I think.
Sure.
Okay, so you said you're working primarily with a technical audience, is that right?
Yes, from my training, I'm software developer, and there is a lot of these people who wishes to run their companies. The key term is startups. These people tend to have a key knowledge in being able to develop their products, but they tend to miss a lot of knowledge about businesses. And basically, what I'm trying to figure out is how people who like to start their company, what's their key knowledge they like to learn, what are they ready to buy to help them move forward.
Well, what makes you think that they want to become entrepreneurs? Where do you get the idea that this is a big need that a lot of your audience is experiencing?
There is a lot of talks and seminars about basically the startups domains, and a lot of people trying basically running their company. And when you look around, at least from what I see, I can see product targeted to these people. I can see conventions. I can see sites. I can see QA sites discussing people discussing. So there seems to say about starting your startups and how to test that there is a market for your startups and things like that.
But is this people in general, or is this specifically the technology people?
I think that the word startups is mostly used for technology-oriented people. It's all about Silicon Valley's history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people kind of dream about it, I think. They like of making it rich with their knowledge as software engineer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And are these people that want to be entrepreneurs that want to have their own startup, or do they want to participate in a startup, whether it's theirs or someone else's?
Both, but the one I target want to start their own startup.
Okay. Okay. And are you having any success, like bringing them to your page at this point? Are there any things that you've done that have worked well to generate traffic?
Yes. A couple of the articles, if you browse down, there is one about how to test, basically how to assess that your business idea is worth it. I posted on Reddit, on Hacker News, which are two big sites, little bit below, I guess.
That's this one here?
Below.
Or
Uh,
12 questions or?
Not this one. It should be a little bit below,
Okay,
I
but
guess.
was
You
it
have
the
an
blog
idea for a
post?
startup?
Was it the blog post that
Basically, I got
Okay, Sebastian,
I got
we have a little bit of a problem here with voice over IP. We have a couple of seconds delay, so I apologize if I'm talking over top of you. Um, so my question, I guess, is: was it the blog post that generated the traffic, or did you post
yes.
like in an article directory someplace that generated the traffic?
I posted my blog post, a link to my blog post into a couple of websites,
Okay,
especially Reddit.com
okay,
and Hacker News, and it generated one of them more than 2,000 people coming to the site reading the article.
okay, good.
But it's kind of, this article really worked. The
Right.
other one are not that successful.
But here's the question that I have for you. So I'm looking at these, and I'm saying this title isn't speaking directly to a technology person. It's just looking for someone who wants to start up. And the same thing here, right? This is just general how to be in a startup. But there's nothing here that says if you're a programmer or a technician or an engineer or a software designer looking to start up your business, then read this article. So I think some of the traffic that you might be getting, I suspect, might be people in general who are interested in doing this. But I'm also going to suspect that it's not necessarily your ideal market, right? It's not necessarily a technician, a technical person. Would that be a fair assessment of what you saw?
I would say so, in the sense that I feel that I'm turning around a little bit about my market and what product I can bring to it,
Hmm.
and I feel that I'm not really clear right now about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm probably too generic,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
really feel I need to focus on something, but I'm not sure about how should I figure out where should I focus, basically.
Well,
Towards my part of the market.
what I think, so let me ask you this. So are you confident in the work that you've done? Are you confident that the people that you're talking about are actively out there in numbers? In other words, maybe the articles that you've written now are more generic, so they're attracting, anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur. But do you feel like there are enough people who are, technology guys or girls? I say guys in the non-gender sense. And you think there are enough people out there who are technologists, software designers, maybe hardware designers, whatever, that are interested in starting their own business, that it's enough of a niche market for you? Have you done enough work to feel like that's a pretty good market? Have you validated it for yourself?
I wouldn't bet my shirt on it, to be honest.
Okay, good.
I don't feel I found a channel to reach these people in an efficient way.
Yeah, exactly.
I've tested a little bit of PPC ad with a landing page to see if I could basically a little bit generic, like do you have a startup ID, read my ebooks or something like that. It was not really an ebook. It's most I'm going to write an ebook, and I wanted to see if people were interested in it. It seems to be difficult to target these people only PPC.
Okay,
Because
so
I don't know what terms it's looking.
So one thing I could recommend as you're testing this out is to make your articles a little bit more focused. So what you could do is you could talk about the same things that you're talking about, but apply it specifically to someone who's in the technology field. So 28 questions to ask your potential customers. You might want to talk about. Well, maybe that's a little bit too general, but let me see. Yeah, Yeah. So here, for example, you've got an idea for a technology startup, or you've got an idea for a software company startup, or you've got an idea to start up a business for that hot new electronic device or computer device or iPhone device or whatever. So start putting a little bit more of the language of your customer in your articles, specifically in the headlines, but also when you're talking about it. And you might even talk about, are you in, do you want to create the next Google? Are you a smart entrepreneur? Are you a smart technology minded are you a technology genius that is just looking for a way to make billions instead of get paid for your by the hour? Well, here's the top 7 ways to migrate from that corporate job to your own to owning your own corporation. And then talk a little bit about their experience. Right now you may be working 18 hours a day, and there's a new deadline coming all the time, and you're working hard, you're putting out all these great products, but you're only making a wage. It's a good wage, but you have this brilliant idea that you've been working on in the garage. You're another Steve Jobs, or who was the other guy? I forget his name. Wozniak, yes. You're another Jobs, Wozniak, or Gates. You've been working along. You've got this great idea. Now you want to know how do you transition so that you can move out of your corporate job and start the next new technology and be the next new technology billionaire. So one thing you can do for sure is take these ideas, which are general ideas about starting up, and apply them specifically to your audience. Software engineers, hardware engineers, designers, project managers, whatever they might be, and then see if you can talk to them in terms of the experience that they're having and how to manage, how to realize this dream. And with technology there are specific problems. Like, for example, software, you need a bunch of experts to create it, but hardware, sometimes you need an investment to create the prototype, and sometimes that prototype is not cheap. And so then you might write an article about, if you've got the next new whiz bang technology gadget and you need to have a prototype, here's what you need to know about patenting, here's what you need to know about getting investment dollars, here's what you need to know about how to get funding for your company, what do you need to have prepared, how far do you need to have developed that product. So now you're talking a little bit more specifically to that market of technology people who want to come out. And my hope is that as this starts to happen, Google starts to recognize your blog as a combination of marketing and business and startup, as well as hardware, software, technology, and computers, and so on. And then hopefully it makes the connection that when somebody's typing in, how do I start a technology company, then it makes more sense. Google's going to recognize your blog as being more relevant. Same thing with your articles. Anything that you put on YouTube, your articles, talk about it specifically in terms of your avatar. And you could take all of the same information, but you want to translate it into the experience of your avatar. Then it's going to be a lot more directly relevant. And somebody's going to know that you can help them specifically to create a technology startup. Not, you're not talking about a mom and pop shop. You're not talking about a coffee shop. You're not talking about a bookstore. You're not talking about internet marketing. You're talking about a technology startup. So that's the first thing that I'm noticing here that I would say you could really benefit from if you talk more directly to the avatar. And then if you're running ads or if you're doing any kind of promotional videos or whatever, again, speak to the problems of the technologist or engineer. Speak to their frustrations. They spend all of this time and money, got this amazing education, paid 60, 80, 100 grand to get this education, and now they're getting, they're working hard, they're getting a decent wage, but they're losing it all in taxes, and they've got a lot more ideas and there's a lot more genius that they have to bring out in the world. They can make a difference in the world, and they could be a billionaire. So why be stuck working for a technology company? And then so you can talk about it. And technology companies, and by the way, this is my experience, I don't know if it's true anymore, but it was when I was working in a technology company. We rarely worked less than 100 hours a week, and it was expected of you to work that way. If you didn't, everybody else who was working 100 hours a week would look at you kind of funny. You'd be ostracized and so on. Well, if you're going to work 100 hours a week, why not bring that device out to market? And for the 100 hours a week, if you're going to work them anyway, then own the company instead of working for the man, kind of thing. You might even talk about one of the common frustrations engineers had that I worked with was that they would come up with patents, and they would get $100 as a reward for the patent, but guess what? The company would make millions of dollars on the patent, right? So you can talk to that and say, if you're good at designing patents and you know
That
your
could be a
industry
hot
well,
button.
pardon me?
That could be a hot button for them to
Yeah, yeah,
hot topics.
absolutely,
Don't
absolutely.
let them have all the money from basically your ideas and your talents.
Yep, exactly. And then you could talk about, these guys, when we used to do agreements with our engineers, whatever they thought of, any idea that they had that was related to that industry belonged to the company, whether they thought about it during work hours or not. So you might talk about that and the frustration of that and how to write good agreements so that as they're creating their brand new idea, you might say, how do you protect that idea while you're working for one company? What do you need to do to make sure that this brand new idea, when you become successful, your old company doesn't come and say, hey, that's our intellectual property, right? So you got a lot of things here that you can help people with that are probably on their minds that still talks about moving that idea to startup, but it speaks specifically to their experience.
Wow. Okay. It's really incredible because when you put your fingers on it, it's kind of wow. It's okay. I see it now. That by being very generic, these people specifically couldn't really feel any connection to what I would say. On a little bit separate stuff, I've tried to do a little bit of PPC, and I had a little bit of trouble of coming some of the keywords that these people might be searching. Would you go into a market where basically it's hard to reach through pay-per-click? Would you consider that if after spending some time trying to figure out some of the requests or queries these people might do when they want to start, and I can't find good queries or queries with traffic, would that be a killer and a proof that it's really not worth this market, or is it worth basically looking around to find if there is any other acquisition channel?
Yeah, I would definitely. In fact, I would suspect that it would be very difficult in PPC to get to identify your ideal audience, and that's because somebody who wants to start up a business, they might be looking for. They might be engineers, but what they're looking for is, how do I start a business? How do I start a small business? How do I do a startup company? Well, that phrase can be anybody typing in that phrase. You're not going to find a lot of people saying, I'm an engineer, how do I start up a technology company? Most people say, how do I start a business? And so pay-per-click may not actually be the most efficient way. What I would look for is forums, blogs, news sites, how-to sites, video portals. I'd look for everything that has a channel to the audience already. So, so if I'm looking for entrepreneurs, or I mean, if I'm looking for technologists, I might go to a software forum, a software developers forum, for example. And if that software developers forum allows me to advertise, I would sooner take an advertisement out on the forum before I would pay for pay-per-click, because now what I can do is I can say, software developers got a great idea for a brand new software product, click here to find out how to bring it to market. Because now I'm talking to my avatar. And that to me is more targeted than, if you want to start a business, click here, because everybody wants to start a business, but they click to your page and they're going to go, oh, this is just for technology guys. That's not me. So your technology people are going to represent 10% of the search. However, if you go to a software developer site, or if you belong to an engineering forum or something like that, or if there's an engineers trade association or a software symposium that's going on, those are where your audience is. That's a good place to put an ad and say, hey, you're a software developer. Are you thinking about a startup? If you are, click over to my site. And then if you pay for that advertising, it's going to be worth it, because whoever clicks it to your site is going to be your avatar. In fact, in Facebook, now this is kind of cool. In Facebook, you can specify that the only people who see your advertisement are the people who work for specific companies. So you can put up Facebook ads that only people from Microsoft see, and only people from Oracle see, and only people from whatever companies you can think of. So if you get a list of the top 1,000 technology companies, you literally could type those technology companies into Facebook, and if someone happens to have in their profile, oh, I work at Microsoft, they're going to see your ad. Okay.
But I haven't tried Facebook, but ads. But I was thinking about it because I looked a little bit what how many people put basically entrepreneur on in their profile. Would you consider basically that searching for this acquisition channel, searching for ways my customers being quite a priority? Because I guess that if I don't find any good ways to reach these people, basically I'm whatever product I build, it won't work.
Yeah.
So would you for me focusing on that and trying to figure out if I can reach these people before really moving forward?
Yeah, I would. I mean, you could move forward in parallel, but I think it's really important that you do figure out how to reach these people. And so when I'm looking at my advertising choices, what I'll usually do is I'll create the avatar, okay, and then I'll say, if I'm this avatar, what am I reading? What magazines do I read? What blogs am I reading? What forums do I go to? What am I searching for online? What products do I buy? You know, and I'm looking for places where they're already going online. And then if I look at the blogs and I go, oh, you know, one of the blogs that my avatar reads is going to be, I don't know, let's say it happens to be ehow.com. And the thing, because it's that avatar, they're going to be interested in iPhone apps, for example. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ehow.com and I'm going to put an ad everywhere on ehow.com that it talks about iPhone apps, and I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Avatar, do you have a great idea for a brand new app? Click here to learn how to do your startup. And then I would advertise on ehow.com, right? So what I'm looking for, and then I would look out what magazines they read and see if I can find advertising. What forums do they hang out in? And I would see if I could place ads in the forum. What trade associations are there? What groups do they hang out with? What meetups do they go to? You know, all of those things. And then I would visit and see, can I inexpensively put an ad out there? Because it's more important that I know my ad is speaking to my avatar more than anything, because then my ad can qualify them by saying, hey, if you are a software designer and you want to start up a business, then you should come to my page. And that's the eyeball that I want to come there. So try this exercise. Put yourself in the position of your avatar and ask yourself, what do they watch on TV? Where do they surf on the net? What blogs do they read? What products do they buy? What people do they follow? You know, go on Twitter and find out, you know, if there's a specific celebrity in that niche, join their Twitter feed and find out who else is talking there and make a comment now and again. Hey, you know, a while back I was thinking of starting my company. I'm a software guy. Does anybody have ideas? And then get some conversation going. And the people who get engaged in the conversation, you say, hey, you know, I'm putting together some ideas about this. Let me know what you think. Hop over to my blog and take a look, right? And then you bring the Twitter followers over. So, you know, but you want to find out which feeds that they follow. And you want to go to Facebook groups and say, which Facebook groups are there for software developers, for technology people, and also for business startups. But specifically, if you can find business startups for technologists, that's going to, your goal is more to find the avatar, not to find what they want to do yet, because your ad will qualify them. It's easier to find a software developer, a lot easier than it is to find a software developer who wants to start a business, because there's, you know, 10 times more people looking to start a business, and only 1% of them or 10% of them might happen to be your avatar. So focus on where your avatar already hangs out, online and offline, and see if there's a way that you can get inexpensive advertising. Maybe there's some e-zines. You know, what e-zines do they read or subscribe to? What RSS feeds do they subscribe to? Can you get, sometimes you can get advertising in RSS feeds. What about podcasts? Are there technology podcasts that will allow you to buy advertising? $50 puts you in front of 5, 10, 15,000 people on the podcast. You know, all of these are possibilities for you. YouTube channels, you know, can you put something, is there a YouTube channel for software designers? Are there trade associations? Are there trade shows, symposiums, you know, events that they go to? Are they certifications that they acquire that you know, that maybe the certifying body puts out a magazine that you can take an ad out? I mean, there's lots and lots of different ways. So brainstorm that and then see if you can find the ones that are closest to being within your reach in terms of, your budget and in terms of how effectively they reach your audience. And none of this, you notice, is PPC.
I PPC as a starting point, but I've already started to do some of the work to basically look at what they're reading and digging through that. I've been through meetups, go to some meetings to try to see a little bit who these people are and engaging in conversation and discussing a little bit more. I guess I would drive these people to a landing page, put some free content.
Yep.
Do you have any suggestion or points toward what this free content could be or should be for them?
Well, I don't know your avatar too well yet. So what I would say is this: think about defining the avatar as in as much detail as you can, and try to think about the top 3 to 10 fears and frustrations that they have, and the top 3 to 10 things that they want more than anything, and then maybe add a few of your own. 3 to 5 things that they probably want that they don't always talk about. And then from here, select the one you think is going to have the most impact and create your best strategy or your best tip. You might say, maybe they're afraid of, getting sued for IP, for example. Let's say that was a real problem, that they thought of the idea while they were working for another company. And just like, Mark Zuckerberg now is getting sued by those twins. They want to prevent that situation. And if that turned out to, you said, well, this is the biggest fear that they have, then you would write a special report, or you would do a video or something that says these are the 3 things you absolutely need to do to make sure that you're protected when you go and start up your own company, that your IP belongs 100% to you. And then do a quick, 20-30 minute video or a 15 to 20 page special report. And that would be the opt-in that I would test right away. It's not, it's not as important what the opt-in is as what you promise they're going to learn by opting in. So this is the important stuff. You really need to know and understand what they desperately want to have to either eliminate, or what they desperately want to manifest. Once you know those things, it gets a lot easier to figure out what your opt-in stuff should be.
So the overall idea is try to guess people all the hot buttons like that, and I would say go through them one by one, doing one landing page, one free report. If you can see which one is people are baiting the most.
Yeah, and one of the easiest things you can do is you can start putting blog posts, articles, videos, Wodoo pages. Go to Post to your Facebook, post to your Twitter on all of these subjects. Just keep writing about them, and then notice which ones people respond to the most. So it's a good way to find out if everybody's watching the video about IP. Then that gives you an idea that okay, maybe that's one that I should start focusing my opt-in offer around.
Okay.
Okay, but listen.
I see much more clearly.
Yeah, good. And the first thing I'm going to encourage you to really do, and spend as much time as you can, and then continuously improve as you go to the forums and you go to the e-zines and everything. Just always listen or keep an eye out for the things that people are talking about the most, that are the things that they want or the things they want to eliminate. And then really work on defining this avatar, because if you can figure this out, what these top 3 to 10 things that they want to eliminate, top 3 or the top 3 to 10 challenges that they think if they could eliminate would give them everything that they want, and these are the top 3 to 10 things that they want. And if you keep writing about those things and then getting feedback and modifying it until you find like what are those really big 3, you could build a list of hundreds of thousands just on the basis of 3 hot buttons.
But I can leverage basically the blog as a first step to really see what people are interested in.
Sure.
Starting to do landing pages and ebooks before basically having some better understanding of what people already are interested in. It would be a little bit like driving blind, or at least poking around without knowing too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
focusing the blog.
I would request that you do two things. One is get really clear on your avatar and get clear on the frustrations, fears, needs, and desires, and then start writing as much content as you can and put them in as many places that you have access to as possible and track the interest. And then in parallel, start thinking about this avatar and where are all the places that that avatar is receiving advertising already that you could maybe piggyback on and use that as a channel. So if you get a good message and you put it in front of the channels where they're already hanging, now you can get an idea of whether there's a good connect there.
Yeah, that's very, very, very helpful. I was kind of first really kind of spreading myself thin by going in every direction, and it really helps to focus on. And now I see the more close to my potential avatar, the blog will be their vocabulary and their and the most response I might have on that. So I'll start to write a much more focused blog post, basically using their vocabulary on a more technical and software level. I know enough about that to basically try to make a blog post they would only understand and see if they react much better to that than to a generic problem.
You got it. You got it. Good. So that's a great
thanks
takeaway.
A lot. It was really, really helpful, and really enjoyed it.
Excellent. My pleasure. And it's good to talk with you. And please come back after you try some of these things and let us know how it went. And let's talk some more about how we can optimize even further.
Sure. We do. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sebastian. So, by the way, before I forget, I want to ask you guys a favor. And let me see if I can think of what Corey's email address is. June, what's Corey's email address? Can you remind me again, please? Make sure I have it correct. So listen, you guys. I'm gonna ask you to help out and support the Action Coaching Club cause here, because what we'd like to do is to try to get excuse me, to try to get a few more members in, so that we have a couple of ideas about things that we want to expand into doing. But it's going to help if we get more members in, to have higher energy, to have a little bit more interaction, to be able to organize kind of more focused projects where you guys can be implementing as a group and so on. And so we've got a pretty good size group and we've got a pretty loyal following, but of course it really helps if we can get the message out to people, and as we're doing that, it really helps if we can have some of our existing members who are talking about us rather than us talking about us, right? So if you're comfortable, if you like what you hear, if you're getting something out of this, what I'd love for you to do is to just send a testimonial to Corey Thorpe. And I believe I'm going to clear all this. I'm going to put her webpage up here, her email up here, and I might have to change it later, but I think it's corey.thorpe@hottopicmedia.com. Okay, please write this down. And what I'd love for you to do, in fact, if you can do it, before we get off the call tonight, it doesn't have to be, long and involved, and, don't take a lot of your time, but we'd like to know kind of like what you're getting out of it, what the big value is to you, what you like most about it, or anything that you might want somebody who's thinking about joining us, anything that you might want them to know of the value that you're getting out of it, so that they might be reassured that they're going to enjoy their time with us. So if you would do that for us, we would be deeply appreciative, and we get a chance to, by the way, make sure that when you do this, you put your name and your web address and so on, because if we use the testimonial, we can put your website, and we can do a little bit of promotion for you as well as a result. So just take a minute or two, think about something you really love about this, that's really serving you well, and send Corey a line with comments that we can use, and of course let her know that it's okay to use it as a testimonial, and then we'll try to use that in our upcoming member drive. Okay, so thanks very much for that. I hope that listen, this is a really important thing. I know sometimes it feels like, well, yeah, sure, I'm enjoying it, but do I want to take 5 minutes to write? But honestly, it'll benefit all of us if we can get people aboard. You're going to have more people to engage with. We'll be able to do bigger and better projects, and we'll have more group wisdom to draw upon. So it's really valuable. It'll help us a lot. So if you like what you're getting out of ACC, help us to promote a little bit. in a few minutes after the call would be really, really valuable for us. Okay, and much appreciated. Okie doke. So that's all I'm going to do for strategy coaching for tonight. And what I'd like to do is jump in and answer some questions. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of questions in my email that are new. So I will just say, if you have a question, go ahead and just raise your hand with a *2 or type your question in the GoToWebinar control panel. And we'll spend the last 15 minutes or so answering as many questions as we can. So Julie, I don't know if you're on the call or not. If you want to raise your hand, I would love to talk to you about the email that you sent me. Okay, I've got a hand up from area code 706 in Georgia. Welcome to the call.
Hey, Lou, it's Carla.
Hello, Carla. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I had sent an email to you, and I just have a quick question, which is I've started posting my daily blog, and in a personal blog I have been doing. I've had people subscribe to the blog, and then I would send them, automatic emails every day about an update.
Mm-hmm.
But I see that y'all are sort of recommending not doing that because it makes people, sort of put the email aside and not necessarily open it right away, and that the idea is that you want them to open it. So I guess my question is, how do I, when people subscribe to my blog and to my newsletter, what do you recommend in terms of letting them know, in terms of emailing them?
Well, usually it sort of depends on what they signed up for. And so for me, there's usually about a 7 to 12 day period where I try to send them email that's related to the reason that they signed up. And then after that, I'll just send email. Like in my case, I don't have an autoresponder that automatically goes out every day or every week, or I don't have a newsletter. I just, whenever something's going on that I think is important and relevant to my group, I'll send out an email. Or whenever I've got an event, I'll let them know about it, or if I have a webinar or whatever. So in my case, it's pretty much just, real time as things are happening, I'll send out to the list. If I come across a good piece of content or a special report or a good video or something, then periodically I'll send something out and say, hey, I just found this great thing, go look it over. If I was using a blog more actively, I think what I would do is I would post content to the blog that basically would create essentially an article directory of my blog, and then I would send out every time I post a new article to the blog, I would send out to my list, and I'd say, hey, I just wrote an article about X, Y, and Z, the top 3 things you need to know to accomplish whatever. Click through, have a read, and make sure you leave me your comment. Tell me what you think, right? And so that's, if I was writing actively on a blog, that's what I would do. If I was emailing in general, if I was emailing actively, I would probably put all the content on the blog, and the emails would be short and sweet, just saying, hey, go check this out. I just put new video on the blog, or I put a new article on the blog, or whatever, and then I'd ask them to go watch it and then leave their comments and everything. And I would do the same thing. I would post that to my Facebook, so it would automatically, anything I email out to my list automatically gets posted to my Facebook and Twitter account. So everybody who's anybody who's watching that can then click through and go back to the blog. And again, I want to move them from Facebook, which is not my website property, to the blog, which is my website property, and then they can watch the video or read the article or whatever on my blog. And that's why it's good and important to have as many opt-in offers as possible on the blog, because ideally people are not just coming from your list, but they're coming from all your other social media properties, and then they get a chance to come onto your list. So so that's what I think I would do. And if you said here in your blog that you're posting about 5 times a week, so you can do one of 2 things. You can send out, depends on what those things are. Like if they're articles that are worth reading, and they're kind of meaty, then I would probably email it about it. If it's just something that says, hey, found a new resource, check this out, well, that's not really a blog post. I mean, it is a blog post, but it's not so much content that you want to take people from your email to that. So what I've seen some people do is they'll accumulate all of their short blogs, and they'll send a once a week summary of their best blogs or the newest blogs the newest posts that they have on their blog, and that becomes kind of their newsletter, right? It's just a quick table of contents once a week that says, hey, here's what I posted to my blog, and then a quick teaser and a link, a quick teaser and a link, a quick teaser and a link. And that could work really well as well if you're not wanting to email out every day. So it really depends on your personality, depends on how you want to engage with your audience, depends on how receptive they are to getting email, once a week, twice a week, 5 times a week, depending on the market. So that's, and the other alternative that you could consider is when people make it to your main mailing list, that you can have something that goes out once a week, like every Monday, it's your newsletter day. So if you happen not to post anything else that week or write any email, they're still going to get at least one email from you a week. Right. But again, I would probably, use that to bring them to the email, to the content on the blog. A lot of people put the content right in the email. I like to take them out of the email and get them on the blog, because in the email they're thinking, should I save this, delete it? Should I save it, delete it? Should I save it, delete it? Whereas on the blog, should I read it? Should I read this or not? Should I read that or not? Okay, it's a different frame of mind. I want them to be in the reading frame of mind, not in the delete or not frame of mind. Okay, so those are a couple of ideas. Now, that's for what happens after the first 7 to 12 days. In the first 7 to 12 days, what I'm wanting to do is to create a series of emails that kind of follows up on what it is I promised in my offer, in my opt-in offer. So if the opt-in offer was something like, well, get my weekly newsletter, well, I don't have to really do anything. I just have to put them on the list for the weekly newsletter. If the opt-in offer was, learn how to build your list quickly, here's a product that I have that'll teach you to do that, and they sign up for that and they watch the video on building a list, and I know they're in the mood to buy something to teach them how to build a list, then every day I'm going to send them something which is a mixture of content and a little bit of promotion, teach them something about building a list, and then saying, by the way, I've got this whole product that teaches you everything you want to know. Click here to read the sales letter. And I would do that every day for the first 5 or 6 days, and then every other day for the next 5 or 6 days. And after that, for me, I'm basically done, because I figure if they haven't bought it by then, they're not going to. But hey, at least they're on my list. Now they're going to get my regular weekly or daily or other emails. Okay. And if they're just signing up from an article and they sign up for just content, and they're doing research or getting to know you, then I would send what I would call a relationship sequence to them, which doesn't really have a lot of selling, but just kind of says, hey, here's what I do, here's a sample of content, here's something that's been very helpful. Like if it's the kind of opt-in where I think, this is the first time they've come to my list, and it's not clear to me that they're necessarily shopping, but I want them to get to know me, then I'll spend 7 to 12 emails giving them stuff, giving them tips, giving them advice, and I might interject a promotional email every 4 or 5.
Okay.
Does that give you some ideas?
All right. Yes, very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which one of those seems to resonate with you? Any one of those that feels like the right way for you, for your audience?
Yeah. I've been doing sort of an RSS feed daily for my personal blog, but I kind of like the taking the weekly, sort of giving them an idea of what I've posted all week in a weekly, and that being my newsletter, and then pointing them to my site, and they can go take a look. I kind of like that. Cool. That idea, doing once or twice a week instead of every day.
Yeah. And the thing I like about that is it gives you 4 or 5 days to work with in real time. So if you're doing a promotion or a launch or something like that, then it's not going to conflict with daily messages that go out about blog posts. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna try that way.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, Lou. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Carla. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I see 713. I'm going to guess that's Julie. Hi, Julie. Julie, you're on mute.
Lou, can you hear me?
There you are, yep.
Hey, did you get the email that I sent?
I did indeed.
Today?
Looks like you've been busy.
Okay. Yes, I just haven't been online busy. I've been offline, offline busy.
It's still all good. Still all good. So you've been doing marketing interviews. You've been doing one-on-one sessions. You've been going to networking events. You've been really busy. So how are these working out for you?
Well, they're great in terms of making contacts, but I haven't been able to close on anything. So that's what has concerned me. Like, I mean, they're all new things that I've been doing, and sometimes closing like a startup of a new class can take a month in terms of planning it out, getting the group I approach to decide, yeah, we really want to do that. Those things aren't usually like, that very day they go, yeah, let's do it. So it's kind of an ongoing process, and on my end, it just gets challenging because it doesn't happen right away. But I guess I just wrote all that hoping I could hear like positive feedback that, yeah, it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. I feel like a lot of things are about to happen, but nothing has actually happened. Other than that, I've done the interviews, and I'm meeting up doing these one-on-one sessions, but these are basically free complimentary sessions that I'm doing with the kids at the college in return for getting video testimonial on my site. Because I feel like once I have that on there, that'll really help a lot.
Yeah, so you're not closing people into your program, but you are closing them on things that are important to you. You're developing some marketing assets, so those testimonials are going to be really valuable. For the marketing interviews, I don't think it was like did you have as a purpose the idea that you would enroll these folks into a program? Because I think that's mostly for you to sort of get a sense of the fears, frustrations, needs, desires, right?
It is totally. And then once I started interviewing, if they had a frustration or challenge that I felt like I could really make a difference if they would just do the exercise for a few weeks, then I could snag a video testimonial out of that interview. Because with these college students, I don't, in good conscience, feel good closing for a sale because they're like a student and it just doesn't feel right to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I showed up as their yoga teacher, at that school. So it feels like conflict of interest if I try to close them to purchase a one-on-one session with me. So instead, I just ask them if they want to meet up with me and do a small session and work with the exercise, and then I get their commitment to work with it, kind of like what you do with us, but that in return, they're going to do a video testimonial for me if it works. If it really gave them a result, would they be willing to do like a 1-minute video testimonial that I film?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of something I came up with as I was starting to do the interviews. And on my end, having taught for such a long time, I mean, it's going on 11 years of being in yoga and teaching. It's way different to interview people and find out their fear, frustration, or challenge. Because usually I'd walk into a room, have a giant group of people, and based on their posture and the way they're moving and a few quick questions of asking the group, I'll just start teaching something. And this is like totally the opposite. It's like exactly knowing what they need and being able to give them one simple targeted exercise they could work with, or a couple. Like it's huge. It's a huge difference for me. So I've really liked the marketing interview process. I don't know if anybody else has started doing that yet, but it's just opened my eyes to a whole new world. A world within a world that I was already working with. So I appreciate that I learned that.
Yeah, it's good. It sounds like you had sort of the same experience that I had. That for years and years I just figured I knew my market, and then I started working this process and realized, wow, there are so many deeper levels of things I'd never really understood, and it doesn't it feel great to know them that much better? Like, don't you really feel like now you got where they're coming from and you know where their challenges are, and so you can help them a whole lot better?
Oh, yeah, I love it because it makes it way more personal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was kind of halfway guessing, and I thought I wasn't guessing, because I can read body language and movement problems pretty well, but I really didn't know. because I never talk with them personally.
Yeah.
And in front of a group, it's really intimidating to ask somebody what their biggest fear, frustration, or challenge is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much better one-on-one. I mean, you get a yoga class, and that's almost like putting one person on the spot and hoping that they're going to be honest, and then it could embarrass them or make them feel bad. And so it's much better in the phone call. I really have appreciated this process, and I'm going to keep doing it all summer. I'm going to get to as many different sports and teams as I can, because it helps me develop a program. So
Good.
really, that was really huge, even though that doesn't mean I sold anything more or got more people to my list. But I've been learning some things, so I thought I would share that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and
Others
thank you for following up. I mean, when we did that coaching call, you promised to follow up, and you're doing it, and I really appreciate it. And listen, I know that it's a little bit. I don't want to project the experience of frustrating to you, but I know that when I'm doing this process, I get antsy, because I want to move towards the sale as soon as I can. I got bills to pay, I got things I want to accomplish, people I want to reach and serve, and so on. And so there's all that stuff happening. But I try to remind myself that this is planting seeds, and that what it does is it gives me a filter, a lens, and to look through that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to use. And so that everything else I do from there on in is going to be much more relevant, much more meaningful. It's going to be easier to know what to talk about, write about. It's going to be easier to know what products to create. And it's going to be better for me. It's going to be better for my clients, and everybody wins. And so the sales will come. But this is a really valuable process. And of course, at the same time, I want to say, if it feels like you are doing this intensively for a while, then that's okay, but don't do it intensively forever. I mean, at some point, balance it out and make sure that you're not taking what you're learning and, making a few offers along the way. So I might say to you, for every 5 interviews you do, make sure you make one offer somewhere to somebody, because then at least you've still got some income, being produced in the business as you're doing the market research along the way. Is there an opportunity?
Okay, good idea. Thank you. Yes. Because all that other stuff is churning in the background for me. The paying the bills and everything else. So thank you.
Yeah, and because that's going to become an ongoing process, right? Because our clients change, their needs change, their fears, frustrations, all of that stuff changes, and so it's something you're going to be, you're going to be involved in now that you've gotten the hang of it and you've realized how valuable it is. You're going to be doing that forever, but it has to be tempered with the idea that your top priority still is, I got a business to run, which means I got to make sure that I'm bringing leads in, creating products, making sales, and so on. And so, right now you're doing it intensively, and that's okay, because you're going to get a whole slew of testimonials out of this and some great experience. And then you want to ease back into, okay, now what I want to do intensely is, make some offers and bring some clients in and serve some people. And so the question I would ask you is, what do you have? Do you have anything that's kind of low-hanging fruit that you could make an offer for?
Well, at the moment, there's a couple of people that do private lessons with me that I could, I'm thinking of asking if they want to take it to a 3rd or 4th day a week, just to generate a little more income right now. Because during the summer, my schedule is so different than during the regular year. Like, I have tons of classes in the regular year, and it falls off in the summer. So that's my first thought. And then, of course, I'm kind of waiting to see what the Rockets do, because supposedly that's going to go. The last email I got back was we would meet up the 3rd or 4th week in June to set the schedule for the summer. And if that happens, which I'm assuming it will, then that'll shift everything, because I can start using that in my marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well. So I'm real hopeful about that. And then the contracts with the gyms, these are places I've worked in the past. So setting up a workshop shouldn't take too long. Like, those are like a one-time deal. You come in, you do a two or 3 hour workshop, and a whole bunch of people sign up, and then it's a way to get people on my list as well.
Okay.
So since I made that shift in all my online marketing in terms of like calling it Speed and Power Secrets, then all my classes will be, like, for instance, at a tennis club, it'd be Speed and Power Secrets for tennis, instead of a yoga class for tennis, which I think would really sell. Like, Speed and Power Secrets for tennis sounds to me way more compelling than a yoga class for tennis.
Yeah,
So,
especially for that audience. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So, and that could be the same for almost any gym. So that's my latest ideas for immediate sources of income is to bump up the private lessons and then work with the workshop idea at gyms that I've already taught in previously. Because once I go away, then it's almost like you're more of a commodity when you come back because they miss you. I hope. Usually they'll tell me they miss me. So if that's the case, then I think my workshop idea ought to fly.
Okay, that sounds good. So you've got a couple things there that look like they can come to fruition. Boy, if that Rockets thing comes through, that'll be amazing.
Well, that would be huge.
Yeah.
So that because this go round, I mean, the last time I worked with the Rockets, I didn't understand all of the marketing at all. So this time I could actually take what I've learned and really apply it. So I think it'll work. So there you go.
It'll work. I know it will. Who can resist you? They're going to love you. They're going to definitely do the deal with you. I know it.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Well,
okay, so Julie, one thing that I like you to think about, and I'm going to leave you with this idea, and that is, one thing I like to do periodically is, I have a sense of how much I need to create as income in a given month so that I'm sort of meeting my obligations and feeling like things are comfortable. So that's kind of what, we used to call it a nut, our monthly nut. That's the nut we need to sort of crack to get our needs met and make sure we can pay off all our bills and so on. And so what I like to do is take that nut, multiply it by like 25%, 1.25, so it gives me a little bit of margin. And then that's kind of the goal that I have, minimum. So that's my no lower than, that's my at least goal for the business. And then I kind of look and see where I am in terms of how far along am I this month to reaching that goal. And then I look and I see, well, what do I have in the pipeline, or what do I have on the go that could bridge the gap? So I'd like for you to do the same thing. I'd like for you to sort of look and say, okay, well, what do I want to create as far as income is concerned this month? What have I created so far? And I mean, we're only 6 days into it, so there's lots of time. And then, so what have I got on the go that could bridge the gap between how much I've created and how much I want to create this month? And then is there more that I can put in the pipeline? Because, my experience is that things don't always happen when we'd like them to happen. And so maybe, this Houston Rockets thing will be put off for a few weeks or a month, or, maybe the work group may not happen right on time or anything. So I always like to have 2 or 3 more possibilities on the go than I think I actually need in any given month, knowing that one of them may drop this month, one of them may drop next month, and so on. So what I'd recommend you do is take a look do that exercise for yourself, and then get a sense of how close or how far you might be from actually reaching that goal. And if you think there's a gap, then ask yourself the question, so what can I do to make up the difference? What can I do? Who can I talk to? What can I offer? What do I do right now that could be really easy to just, increase the revenue to make up the gap if there is one? And then just kind of get a sense of what that is, okay?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, Lou, I will.
Thank you, Julie. And you don't need to share that if you don't want to, but I'd like to, if you want to check back in and let us know how the process went for you and just see if it was helpful, that'd be great too.
Okay.
Okay, Julie. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take one more question here I see from Aleem. It's a long one. I don't know if I can get to the whole thing, but I will try, Aleem. Okay, hey Lou, these are a few questions I put aside for my mastermind group this Wednesday. Okay, can you help me out, Aleem, here, since we're a little short on time? Can you tell me which one of these is the most important for you to get some perspective on or some feedback on? And I'm going to read these while I wait for you to type in. There are a few questions I put aside this Wednesday, but I thought it'd be very helpful to me and the rest of the group if you could answer these questions. So what does Alexa.com show me when I type in my keyword search phrase? What should I be paying attention to? Well, I don't, the first one's fine. Okay, Aleem, thanks. I don't know if I consider Alexa.com as necessarily keyword related here. But I mean, it's not really about keywords here. It's about the sites that are the most popular related to those keywords. So, if I say iPhone, for example, iPhone 4, and do a search, what it should come back with are the sites that it thinks are the most popular that relate to that keyword search, right? So it's not going to come up with keyword phrases for you or for recommendations or long tail phrases or anything like that. But the way I look at these is, you know, which sites are the most popular for the keyword phrase iPhone 4. And let me just see if there's anything else I want to say about that. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. It's kind of funny, isn't it, that Rogers seems to be more popular than Apple for the iPhone 4. And then what you would do in this case is you would probably like take a look at the site and see. And now this might be just because I'm in Canada, so I get Rogers. But maybe you want to look here and see what iPhone 4.Taiwan 4 shared. Yeah. I mean, the idea here really is to find out if you wanted to advertise on a site and you wanted to know about the site. So probably what I would do at this point, I'm trying to right click on this thing and I can't do it. Okay, let me just do this. Probably at this point what I would do is I would head over and take a look at the, okay, so if I want to do this, right, I say iPhone, and now I've got globally this is more popular than Rogers. Bizrate, I guess they sell a lot of iPhones, so a lot of people looking for cheap iPhones and so on. But the thing I'd probably want to do at that point is just go ahead and look at the demographics of the site. So what I would do, for example, one of the things I might do is if I look at the site tools, they changed this interface and I can never find what I want. Here's site info. Okay, and then I would type in one of those really popular sites in here, one of the top sites. Oh, come on, work for me here. Okay. Rogers.com, Alexa. So what I'm looking for is demographics. Here, okay, so if I get details on this site. Okay, so now I know that this is one of the most popular sites on the net for the phrase iPhone. And what I'm looking for is what are the characteristics of the site. And what I particularly like to look for is, you know, the demographics. Where are people coming from? What are the search phrases that people are typing in to find this site, you know, to see if they're relevant to me. I want to, they used to show the demographics. Now I think they want you to pay for it now. See, it says based on the averages, Rogers is visited by more users who are college educated. Now they used to give you a whole lot of information. It looks like now, oh good, they're not asking you to pay yet. Fantastic. So what would you do for this? Now Kaleem, if you knew the age, gender, the browsing location, education, if you knew all these things about the people who are visiting a site that has that is one of the most popular on the internet related to the keyword phrase you want to advertise for, where do you figure this would come in handy? And if you're saying Facebook advertising, you would be correct, sir, right? Because that's the thing that I'd want to do is I'd then go to Facebook and I'd say, yeah, it looks like I want to advertise for, let me see, males, the age range 35 to 54. I'm going to assume no kids, so maybe single. And I might even put college educated or better. So now the only people who are going to see my ads are going to be highly targeted. It's going to have the same demographic profile as the people who are visiting the most trafficked site on the web related to my keyword phrase. Okay, so that's just kind of one of the ways that you can use it. You could do search analytics. You know, again, you could get the keywords that are most popular and determine if any of these keywords are worth you bidding on. You get traffic stats. Traffic stats really is just to tell you how active the site is. It doesn't help you much more in terms of your own advertising or marketing so much, unless you were thinking of if Rogers.com happened to be a place where you thought you might want to advertise. Okay, then in this case it's not, right? Because it's just a retail website. But let's say it was a forum, and it happened to take advertising. Well, now you know that they're getting a ton of traffic, that they're one of the most popular sites for it. You know what search phrases most people find the site from, and you know the demographics of the audience. That's a lot of really great information to help you in your marketing choices. not only in terms of targeting the demographics, but in terms of what you're offering and the message that you're using to advertise and so on. Okay, so that's how a couple of the ways that Alexa might help you in your research. Let me see what else. It says the action coaching checklist also says that I should search directory of online forums and scan Google, MSN, Yahoo, and Facebook groups. After I type the search into the box, I'm not sure what to do next. Any thoughts on how to accomplish this step? And how will blog search google.com help me? Okay, so all of these, you know, it's actually the same kind of process. So what you're doing here is you're really you're just looking for hot topics. You're looking for things that people are really frustrated about, they're talking about actively, they're engaged in conversation, and so on. And so, you know, when you're looking through the groups, first of all, you're looking to see, do any groups exist? Because one of the signs of a good market, of a hot market niche, is that, you know, they congregate as communities and they interact and engage with each other, and they you know, they help each other out and so on. So first you're looking for how many groups are there. If there's a lot of groups, good sign. Then you're also looking for how you know, if there's 25 groups and they only have 10 members each, well, you know, not a really hot market, so to speak. But if, you know, the top 10 groups have hundreds of thousands of people or even tens of thousands of people, much better indication that that's a strong target market. Then you might want to look at the ones that are most active, right? Make sure that they're active, join one, and then just read through some of the threads and start to notice what are the most popular threads. Like if you go to Warrior Forum, for example, one of the things that they actually do here, and let me see. Okay, let me just go to special offers because I know that this. Okay, see what they have here? They have these things, the little flaming folders. This means that they're really popular topics. So if I was going to create an offer in the Warrior Special Offer Forum, I'd probably want something that was related to the things that are most popular, right? And if it happens to be a topic instead of an offer, then I'd want to be writing about and making product offers related to the topic. So let's just say that this happened to be a topic of discussion. In this case, it's actually an advertising for a special offer for forum. But I would go through here, and if I was going to, but I could even say, for example, let's say I was creating an offer, then I could read through here and I would get an idea of what this person thinks are the hot buttons for the market just by reading the sales letter. And then I could see it's a very hot thing. What is the topic about? What problems does it solve? How do they present it? What are the features and the benefits? What's the price point? And so on. And then even more importantly, I could scroll down and say, what are the questions people are asking about it? You know, this is a long letter. Let me get down to the bottom here. Right? I would read through some of the comments and I would say, what are the objections they have? What are the comments they have? What are the questions they're asking? You know, are they asking if it's video or if it's audio? Are they asking the price point? Are they saying, does it have a particular feature or function or whatever else? So I'm reading through the most popular forums that they're most active, and I'm looking at the most popular posts. And then I'm trying to figure out what is it about these posts that really tweaks people into wanting to be engaged so actively about it. And then I sort of try to become an expert on that subject as much as possible and either write articles about it, which I presume will be read fairly well because there are hot topics everywhere, or make a video or teach a webinar about it or whatever else. Okay, so that's kind of the way you would look to that. The same thing with, you know, blog search. What you're doing here is, let's stick with the iPhone theme again. So what you're looking for here is, you know, what are people talking about? What are the blogs that are most active, and what are the hottest topics? So you could look at anything in the 10. If you want to know what's hot right now about iPhones, look in the past 10 minutes, and you'll find out what people are talking about right now. So if you want to put your Google AdWords up now, your Google AdWords ad. Take a look at what people are talking about in the past 24 hours. Look through the titles, get a sense of what the hot points are, and then if you see one, you know, you might want to look at this one, which seems to be at the top of the list, Mac rumors, right? Okay, so access a range of conference information, blah, blah, blah. Then I would probably hop over there and I would look at the article, find out what it's talking about, and then see how many comments are there. You know, are there hundreds, are there tens, or whatever? And then if there's a lot of comments, I would read through the comments to find out what are people saying? What are they? What are the things that tick them off? What are the things that they want to read more about? What are the things they're engaged with? It's a really manual way of doing research. But what you could do is you could take some of these things and put them into your RSS feed. Like in this case, it used to be that Google had an RSS feed for this search, but at this point I don't see any RSS feed up here. But sometimes, like if you go to Technorati, for example, I think it still has a blog, it still has a feed. So I want to search posts for iPhone. Okay, note, and so see this thing here? So this little RSS thing is telling you that you can get, you can put that into your reader. So if you found the top 10 blogs in your industry and you searched for, that related to iPhone, like to continue this example, you took the RSS feeds and you drove them all into your Google Reader. Then you found the top 10 discussion groups and forums. You took that RSS feed and put them into your Google Reader. And you took the top 10 websites or YouTube channels and you took those RSS feeds and put them into your Google Reader. Well, guess what? You're getting the top 30 places on the web. Oh, and if you go to Alexa and find the top 10 websites related to your industry, now you can have 30 or 40 feeds coming in to your Google Reader that you can scan in 20 minutes a day, and you would have a really clear idea of what are the hot subjects, what are people talking about, what are people selling, what are people complaining about, and this should give you a pretty good insight into your market. And from there, you want to sort of reverse engineer that into a needs analysis. We talked earlier about the top 3 to 10 fears and frustrations, and the top 3 to 10 needs and desires. So it's a little bit manual, right? It's a fairly manual process. But if you do it through Google Reader, then I think you'll find it's a lot easier. I usually can do it in about 15-20 minutes. And in fact, there is a training session, I'm pretty sure, where I show you exactly how to do that. So that you don't have to go through each blog one at a time, log in everywhere, read one post at a time, etc., etc. You can have them automatically come into your Google Reader. Trying to figure out which one of these they were. I guess I didn't put them in here. I thought I had. Must have been in one of the other groups. Okay. Yeah, you know what? It's probably in this one. Niche research and testing how-to primer. So I think I went through and showed you in here what my little Google Reader market listening station and how I use it. Let me just kind of see if I can make my way through. Okay, it's loading kind of slowly. Okay, so does that help, Alim? Does that give you an idea of kind of what, how to use these tools and what you're looking for as you're going through them? I know it's a little bit tedious, right? Yeah, here it is. That's the section you want. Yeah, definitely. Look up this training, Alim. Because I'll walk you through exactly how to use that Google Reader thing to do. There it is, the niche listening station. That's exactly what you want to watch, and I'll walk through it in a fair bit of detail there. How you can make use of all that information, and how to consolidate and aggregate it all in your Google Reader. So you only need to spend 20 minutes a week doing that. Okay, very good. I hope that helped. So basically, I'm looking for the number of forums and blogs as well as what the hot topics are. Yeah, you're going to want to look for the most popular, with the most activity, with the most number, right? Because then you can't look at everyone, right? And it's that 80-20 rule. 20% of the 80% of the activity is going to happen in 20% of the blogs, and 80% of the discussion is going to happen in 20% of the groups. And so you want to figure out what those 20% are, and then within those 20% you want to find the ones that are most active, and that they have most recent information, so that you're making your analysis based on things that are really important to the people that are engaged in the blogs, they're engaged in the forums, they're engaged in the YouTube channels, and so on. Okay, excellent. And by the way, you know, this process, this niche listening station, that's something that you'll be doing on an ongoing basis. So just as I was saying to Julie before, this whole thing about, you know, it's a continuous process. You know, client needs changes, prospects changes, avatars changes, fears, frustrations, context, needs, desire. That always changes. So you can take a snapshot of this in time, but you know, next month might be a whole different landscape, and so you want to go through the whole process again of kind of checking in and keeping tabs on it on an ongoing basis. So it's not a one-time thing, it is a continuous thing, but of course, you know, you want to try to do it as infrequently as you can. Like, you don't have to do this niche listening station once a week if you don't want to. Do it once a month, spend an hour once a month. But at least then you'll be in touch with your market, and you'll know what's going on, right? Because this isn't so much in and of itself going to pay back huge dividends, because things, generally speaking, won't change dramatically from week to week in a market, but from month to month or from quarter to quarter they can. And so you just want to keep tabs on it and make sure that, you know, you've got your finger on the pulse, but it shouldn't take you a lot of time at all. Right, and you're saying because there's little interest and not very many people searching now for this. So if there's very little interest, so if there are a few forums, I should consider not creating a product on this. Well, that certainly is an indication that maybe there's not a lot of activity in that particular forum, in that particular arena. In and of itself, it's not enough to say no, don't do it, but it certainly is. If you have, you know, a checklist of 10 things that you're looking at, this one is the minus column, not the plus column, because clearly it doesn't, there's no activity, there's no community, there's not a lot of engagement. That's usually not a positive sign, but it's not the only thing that's an indication of the market, right? So go through here and also look at what we talk about in terms of making sure that there are competitors in the market, making sure that there's, you know, when you search for the keywords in Google, make sure there's a lot of advertising that comes up. That's an indication that there's a commercially viable market. You know, so go through the checklist, and you'll see that we list about, oh, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 or 9 different areas that you want to look at. So it's not just the forums, that's one aspect of it, but there's, you know, commercial viability, there's keyword activity, there's a competitor, you know, that competitors exist, there's lots of advertising on Google, there's a whole series of things that you want to check, and then sort of take a composite plus and minus of all of those and see if you think that, you know, whether it's viable or not. Okay. All right, Aleem says, great info, thanks. Good. I'm glad that that was helpful. All right, so we've gone longer than I should have again. Sorry, June. I can't help myself. All right, so listen, you guys, once again, I want to say, if you can, please take a few minutes to send a testimonial to Corey. Let her know, you know, what we can share with other people that is a referral, recommendation, or a positive experience that you've had with the Action Coaching Club. And we'd be very grateful if you did that. Okay, and until then, well, we've already done the questions, so I can skip by this slide. I wish I could get, there we go. There we go. It takes a while for that text to scroll off the screen. Okay, so we will be back on Thursday. And on Thursday, we'll be doing probably 1, maybe 2 strategy calls, and then I'll do a little bit of training about how to get how to track your video analytics. Until then, thank you for being here. Your being here allows me to do this work, which is fun and fulfilling. I appreciate you for allowing that for me, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you. Good night, and namaste.